So yeah, 52 books a year challenge. I've just finished this book here. It is called The 12-Week Year. So really good book. I'm behind in my challenge. Realistically, I should be reading a book a week. But what I've realised is some books aren't just books that you can just read. They take a lot of work to do, or it takes a lot of work reading the book. So it's not just something you read. You've got to kind of stop, learn, apply the things that you're learning in the book. Otherwise, it kind of makes no sense doing it. So what I've realised from this book, it's quite a lot to be honest. So I've wrote notes. This book's more about execution and implementation of the things that are useful to help you get success. So with this book, it's about not having an annualized 12-year plan. It's about having smaller 12-week year plans, or breaking your year up into, say, four 12-week years in a year, a typical year, and then working to a plan like that. Why the book says to do that is because when you try to plan for a year, the things that you have on your the things that you have in your plan hardly get done, or it's difficult for them to get done. Why you don't get them done is because in your mind you've got a what would you say? You've got an excuse not to do something now because you've got so much time left in the year to do it. Whereas when you now break it down to be over only 12 weeks, there's not really that much time for you to kind of to mess about. You just kind of gonna get on it and just do what you've got to do over those 12 weeks. So what was I gonna say? So yeah, what I realised is I'm giving myself too long to achieve my goals, and it gives me a false sense of time. It makes me think, oh, okay, well I'm only in February, I've got so many months left in the year for me to try to get back on target if I've had like a bad January or a not as optimized February. It doesn't make sense to do it that way. It's also shown me about having a sense of urgency of getting things done rather than having it the opposite end, or not seeing the urgency in stuff. This book's helped me to really see the urgency of the things that need to be done. What else has it got? So every day, yeah. Also looking at every day, week, month as important, and knowing that it's not just what happens at the end of the year. It's all the incremental things that you do along the journey or along the year or 12-week year that is part of how you achieve the goal at the end. So not dismissing the little action, call it little action that you do in a day, because all those little things that you do in a day accumulate to be the big thing that is achieved at the end of the year. What we got. Time blocks, really important. So over the years, I've made plans, tried to put plans into like a, what would you say, calendar format, diary format, but I've not been as successful as I should have been. Where this book's helped me to actually plan out my week, block times in the day for me to do specific tasks, and block times in the day to do certain tasks. Let me explain what that means. So on days, I'll have 3-hour blocks where I would do strategic work that is kind of has the best, or what would I say, work that is the most important. So not just focusing on little tasks or just being busy for the sake of being busy, focusing on tasks that move me closer to my goals. But then also having buffer blocks. Buffer blocks are for when I want to do those busy tasks, let's call it making a payment, returning a call back, listening to voicemails, little tasks that don't require too much focus. They can be done over in buffer blocks. Why having time blocks I think is going to be important for me is because it will allow me to know what's meant to be done at what time, and not allow me to deviate from what I should be doing or shouldn't be doing. I can now look at my weekly plan, look at the time, know what I should be doing in that time, and then only go and focus on the tasks that are allocated for that time block. Anything else? So what was the reason why it took me a little bit longer for me to complete this book was, in the book you've now got to think about your vision. So prior to me picking up this book, I thought I had a vision. I do have a vision, but the vision that I had up until reading this book, when I started reading this book, wasn't a vision that I felt comfortable moving forward reading the book with. So I had to kind of stop, think about what do I want, where is it that I want to go, what is it I want to do, what is it that I want to have. And that process took a little bit of time, which makes sense. I don't think having a vision or deciding a vision is something that you just instantly decide on. And even if you do instantly decide on a vision, I don't think it's something that you should maybe move forward immediately without kind of checking and confirming that that's something that you actually do want as a vision. So that's why the book took me a little bit longer. Connecting vision to a single-minded focus though is important. I think having the vision as the driver of why you want to do what you do helps you to kind of stay on task, stay motivated, stay focused when the barriers, the hurdles and the obstacles come in that process of trying to achieve that goal. So yeah, really good book. Yeah, is anything else that I wrote down? No, I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, that was just my first little, when I say little, my first book that I've read in this challenge. Really good book. It's something that I will revisit many times in the future. I'm now going to implement the 12-week year into my system that I use, or I'm going to take the system and use it to start working towards my goals, and then seeing how useful it is to helping me execute. Why? Because I thought execution was a problem of mine. I've got good ideas, but ideas are worthless if you don't execute on them. So this book hopefully is going to give me the skills to execute on my goals. So what I've got next is this book here. It's called The Greatest Salesman in the World, recommended by Dr. Myron Golden. It is only a short book. I've chosen this on purpose so I can try to catch up with the books that I need to be reading per week in this challenge. I need to learn a bit about sales. I can sell maybe some ideas, but in terms of products, I don't necessarily have that skill. I'd like to develop it a little bit more. I'd like to be able to sell maybe in person, maybe over the phone, maybe online in a more direct way. So I'm looking at some sales books and trying to understand how sales work, understand how to be a salesman, and improve those skills. So yeah, gonna try and see how this one goes. Only got, what did I say? It only has 89 pages. So I expect to read this in about 2 days, maybe 3 days, hopefully. I don't think it's gonna be as long as a process as it was to read the 12-week year. So I will see how this one goes.